Okay, so as I was saying, uh, on a different medium, non broadcast live over the internet. Um, so like, there's this idea of emotional labor, like the less powerful always have the burden of the emotional labor in a situation, right?
Yeah.
The the VP necessarily has to, consider what the CEO wants.
There's
And
something. Sorry,
it
go
works
on.
it's interesting because it works in reverse too. Like when you're looking sort of anthropologically at a culture, you can look at who thinks about the comfort of some other, not like in a like a vocational way necessarily, although it's obvious that women as the emotional laborers in modern Western society often have the jobs that require that, like how other people feel. Um, um, but anyway, you can look at it in a culture and you can be like, oh, these people are always worrying about, this set of people. So you can kind of figure out the power dynamics that way. And the point was, fuck, Chris, what was the fucking point? Get me back there.
The point was, for instance, that we started talking about my friend who we're not going to name, and
Yes.
and the vaccine, and his being very concerned about his kids taking it, and him being concerned about it. And I guess it's funny because we got there because, and the way we got there was that I was talking about this alleged Biden stuff.
I don't care about the Biden stuff.
No, I know, but I mean, I got there because it was related to the same person. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And by the way, kids are always just kids, even when you're talking about your own kids in any sort of political or philosophical environment.
Yeah,
they are wholly used as devices for upping the emotional value of a conversation. There's no reason to talk about your kids versus yourself in a vaccine. I mean, no, it sounds really harsh, but like, there's no reason to bring up your kids unless what you're trying to do is heighten the emotion of an argument, or
right.
your emotion has been heightened. It isn't necessarily nefarious, like, wah, ha, 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 I wouldn't bring up kids, although that's how politicians use it all the time. I used to say in Congress, like, deploy the children. It's time to really fuck things up. Let's deploy the children. The children will ...
I mean, do you think that's do you think that's in relation to my friend as well, or do you? I mean, I understand you're saying that generally. I don't. I mean, I understand you're saying it generally, and I think it's and I know it's true, but I also feel like it's very grim.
Well, I just think. Sorry, go ahead.
Because I mean, my point is, because I think what you're saying is that the people who use this as a device, as a conceit, are unable to actually have a good argument, so they throw up the kids.
Oh, it's regardless of whether the argument's good or not.
Okay.
They do that in politics because their whole job is they use nice words like energizing the base, right? But but what that means is scare the shit out of the other side.
Yeah.
And
sure.
with visions of all kinds of fun visions of hell. But what I mean to say about our friend, or your friend and my old acquaintance, or I don't know.
Let's call him Vincent. We'll call him Vincent.
Like, logically, having a problem with the vaccine, like, it can make you feel things thinking about giving it to your kid, but the logic isn't any different. If you have a problem with the vaccine, you have a problem with the vaccine.
Yeah, sure.
And anyway, my point was just that look at the people who freaked out the most about the vaccine. And I say this with no judgment and no latent, secret liberalism and no secret, winner in the fight. I say this having watched it from another country where, people were like, why are those Americans freaking out about a little like piece of cloth on their face?
Sure.
As if they were being like mugged everywhere, or whatever. But like the people who freaked out the most about any, government, or really any organized response, and the whiff of a should, the whiff of mandatory or shouldness, to any given measure. Those were the people who generally had to think about other people. Hi, Kitty. About other people the least. They had done the least emotional labor.
Right. It's funny, the people who got really up in arms about about wearing masks and felt like the people who were wearing masks were sheep and all of that. Something that I've never understood is, and they'd be like, oh look, they'd be like, look, I'm a mosquito and I'm flying through this fence, right? What I think is funny about that is that the whole point of masks really was to, at the very least, deflect your breath away from somebody else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, and like there's a reason we cough in, like somebody at the first show suggested I cough into my arm, right? I mean, there's nobody here, so it doesn't really matter, but there's a reason we do things, and it's not, and it's actually a good thing, right? You're trying to keep somebody else from getting sick.
I think we have to be very careful, because I think, first of all, I never encountered anyone walking around criticizing people for wearing masks.
Okay.
Like, I think that there is so much crazy projection from both sides, on both sides, of ridicule, and reaction to that projection of ridicule. And I, we're in such a friggin' weird environment where like one crazy person in a Home Depot on YouTube makes everyone feel like they saw 10 crazy people in Home Depot. And I know that it's
I don't think
more
it's that
generalized.
Yeah.
I do not blame people for not getting the vaccine. I don't blame them for not wearing masks. I literally mean it when I say that I don't have a secret winner in this argument.
Mm-hmm. I
really don't, because I understand, like, philosophically, I really feel like I understand why someone would reject it. Okay. And I don't go around telling people how they should vote.
Well, can I say that? Can I jump in there for a second? Because I think that's an interesting point. Like, I don't think it's anyone's goddamn business who I'm voting for. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I like the idea that ballots are secret. I don't have bumper stickers for any party.
I meant vote like wear a mask or not wear a mask.
No, I understand, but I just want to. It's just funny because I think about this all the time. Like, I think, I like the idea that you go into a faux booth at this point, right? You're not really pulling a curtain behind you or anything, right? But you're in this place where there's some shielding and people aren't supposed to see what you're doing, and you do what you do, and it's your business, and that's the end of it. You know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. It's funny to me how just the whole bumper sticker brigade and how polarized we are on all of that right now. It's funny to me, because if people worried about themselves and their friends and didn't, did we talk about this last time about how, about how
Here's that thought. If people
well,
worried about themselves and their friends,
if people worried about themselves and their friends, and acted in the way that they think people should act, and not try to get other people to act in any way, the world would be much simpler.
well, how can you say that and also be mad at all the people who decided not to wear masks or get the vaccine?
I'm not mad.
All right. Well,
Did it sound like I was mad? I'm not mad.
no,
No.
I guess
No, I'm not mad at anyone. My point was the idea that masks don't do anything is folly. In the same way that like a soccer net, does nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, or
Yeah.
even the posts that hold up the soccer net, like, or a trash fence. You know what I mean? I mean, my point is, I understand people are like, well, this thing's it's smaller than N95, so it'll go through. Like, even if it goes through, it's being bounced around. It's unlikely that it's just going clear through without hitting anything, and it's also not going through by itself. You know what I mean? It's just, my point is, if you don't want to wear a mask, that's fine, but I don't understand why you get so upset about other people who choose to. That's my point. Like, what is it?
I don't. Where were all these people upset about other people choosing to wear masks? Where are they?
I mean, you did spend most of the pandemic in a foreign country.
Yeah, but I didn't even I hear lots of people claiming that other people are angry at them for wearing masks. I think there were a lot more people who were angry at those who didn't wear masks, like literally out in the world. Right? Did a lot of people go stumping around without masks on, getting angry at people with masks?
I think it depends on where you lived.
Probably, yeah.
Right? Because like here in Baltimore,
it's a social signal.
Well, it's interesting because when it started, okay, I think it's disingenuous for people to say that. I understand they're like, Fauci lied about the masks. Well, no, I mean, I think we know human nature, and if somebody was like, everybody should wear an N95 mask, some asshole would buy up all the N95 masks.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Fauci. I don't give a shit what anybody says about the science.
Yeah, you just, you know what?
Real.
You spent this entire thing in a completely different place. It's funny. No, I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, it's just funny to me that there's this whole here in the United States,
it's hysteria.
There was this whole thing where, Fauci is considered by some people to be practically a war criminal, right? And
because
because they're like, why is this man allowed to make decisions for people? Like, you know what I mean? Why is he allowed to say that we should shut down whatever? I'm not saying it's logical. First of all, I'm not defending these people. I'm telling you that this exists, right? That this happened, right?
There's so many difficult words.
So many difficult words?
Yeah, like words that... Did people really say the words war criminal? No.
I'm sure somebody said a war criminal. Like,
no, but that's not the discussion. Like, this is
hold on.
Making my head
point is,
go,
okay, let's start at the very beginning. Fauci comes out. I think the very first thing is people don't.
Also, Fauci was the head of the National Institutes of
I know
Infectious Medicine. Had nothing to do with the CDC, which is the one making the decisions, right?
He also helped discover AIDS. Like, he has a long history of
what you're saying is that there were people who
how about hold on,
got hysterical about. I just want it to be super short. I don't want any details.
Well, there have to be
characterizations.
A few details. Just listen. Hold on.
Okay.
He comes out at first and says, nobody needs to wear a mask, which was probably his best guess at the time, whatever. And then he comes out and is like, well, people should wear cloth masks. And there was a whole thing where people made cloth masks, which is totally fine. And I understand they're probably
then
not
what happened?
nearly...
Sorry, you're going down a level of detail that we don't need. Go ahead.
All right. And then but the point is, he's like, you don't need N95 masks, is what he said, right? And then people are like, the people against him believe he was lying to the world about that and that he's a horrible person. And my take on that is, if you tell the world at the beginning of the pandemic that you need N95 masks, people are going to hoard them and gouge them in the same way that everybody went crazy about fucking toilet paper. It's not like, I don't
want you to keep apologizing for him while you're explaining the situation.
This is a real problem. this is classic,
Yes, it is.
right? You should just let me talk, and then you can talk.
Except the whole
Unless
point
what I'm
of
doing
this,
is boring.
you were trying to inform me of a situation in the United States so that we could talk about
Right.
it. And instead, your every step of informing me, you are giving your opinion about what what your take was. And it's like, I need to be like led into the thing we're talking about first.
I mean, the thing we're talking about is, I think,
I
okay,
get,
okay.
like,
Here's the bottom
this is
line
the
of what we're
discussion about
talking
the discussion. Yeah. Okay.
about. Okay. This is, by the way, this is classic us. This is why this is called X's, right? Um,
I don't know.
the bottom line is that I believe you are incorrect about the number of people who actually believe that all of this is garbage. I don't agree with them. That's a separate issue.
The number of people who believe what is all garbage. Like, I don't know.
The number
You
of
said
people
all of this is garbage.
the number of people who believe that wearing masks is, that you're a sheep, that you're an idiot if you wear it, that
Okay.
that COVID's actually a thing, that what's funny is your experience, where, tell me if I'm wrong, like, things were so locked down where you are, that you had people visiting and they ended up living with you for 6 months.
Sort of. It wasn't quite like that sounds. We had a curfew.
Okay.
Curfew at 5 p.m. You had to have a letter to explain why you were in your car going to work.
Sure.
If you had to work.
And all I'm saying is, I feel like your experience in a place where people were like, we're taking this seriously. We don't want people to get sick. We're being very serious about locking things down, etc. I feel like your experience was very different from my experience and our experience here in this country, and different in different parts of the country. And here in Baltimore, I feel like people were trying to get along and keep other people from getting sick. And we're like, okay, I'd sit on the stoop and I would see, everybody wearing a cloth mask as they were walking around and trying to give people a wide berth as they were passing and things. Mainly because it seems like a considerate thing to try to keep other people from getting sick if you happen to be sick. In other parts of the country, people adamantly were like coughing on other people, losing their minds and like targets and throwing things down and, just acting very aggressively and strangely and very upset. And I don't think it may be a minority in terms of the actual numbers. I don't know, but it was certainly not nothing. And it really depends on where you were. That's all I'm saying. Sorry if this is super boring, everybody.
I think it was really easy for everyone to have a similar experience to what you just described, where here at home, ... and everywhere else in the country, ... because literally no one had any firsthand experience of the rest of the country. They only had those, crazy ass YouTube videos, right? And the fucking news would just play the YouTube videos. You might as well see them on YouTube. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think everybody had a distorted perception. I guarantee that in what might have looked like the most fucked up parts of the country, most of the people were fucking going about their business as best as they could. They were not freaking out in Walmarts or criticizing people for whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, what?
Something just happened and I flipped to the other side. I think you went away and came back.
Oh, I think I'm actually doing this entirely on my phone. You'll be proud to hear.
She does everything on her phone, by the way.
So and like I got a thing that said I have like 10% battery left, and so it like paused for a second. Anyway, it's not to absolve anyone of anything. It's just I don't trust anything anyone thinks about other people in the pandemic.
Sure.
Because I think it is so skewed and such a huge projection. I think it's more likely that people feel put down than that they are being put down. You know what I mean? I like not, it's not you. I'm not distrusting you. It's that we had nothing but the decision of which side we were going to be on, right?
Hmm.
And then nothing but like the eyes of the other side on us, you know, in this
Well,
like massive, in this massive like social media clusterfuck, you know?
so I mean, really, what you're saying it's perception, and the perception was wrong because of
No, I'm not saying it's wrong.
well, okay,
Absolutely untrustworthy.
okay,
I think most people most of the time don't know how much they project the world around them. Like, you know, they just think those people are laughing at them when they walk by. You know what I mean? Like
sure,
that's and you know, they have no idea how much that reflects about their own, you know, feelings about the world. And it's so much more than the possibility that those people are laughing. I mean, unless people are like, look, there goes Chris Mandra, he's a real dick. Which I know that happens all the time. But you know, I'm just obviously joking.
it's not all the time.
Here's my thing, okay?
Mhm.
Because I don't want to. I want people to like me. I don't want them to not like me anymore.
What do you mean anymore?
Shut up. I'm a science babe, right? I don't give a shit what anybody says about the particles flowing through the whoosy what's it. Like, go to hell. I don't care about your little, you know, sneeze commercial or whatever, right? I do come down on the side of when things are free in a society, you have a free choice not to do them, including voting and wearing masks and taking vaccines. And you know, I'm sorry that herd immunity works best when most of the herd is in. It's more important to me that I continue to live in a free society. So hell yes, I've had like 3 or 4 boosters now. Like I've had the bivalent. I've had like hell yes. God, I don't want to fucking get that shit and die or give it to my parents or
God, I
whatever.
would hate that.
And I know that the science works, and I know it's not, whatever. But I celebrate the people who say no because they keep me free. And beyond that, I think if we're not convincing people, we're doing a pretty fucking terrible job at education, and that's on us. And I also think when people are really suspicious of big companies,
Mhm.
damn straight they are, and they should be. And there's no reason to think those companies aren't cleaning up the floor with as much cash as they can wash out of all of us. You know, I mean, of course. Of course, of course. So the suspicions and the lack of trust is not just due, it's smart.
Mhm.
You know? So I don't blame them. I don't know. It's just the whole thing ended up being another stupid reflection of, oh, we're the smart people who know exactly how, society will work best. Oh, we're the, salt of the earth people who believe that humans are like they are anyway, regardless of how, how you want them to be.
Mm.
It's the same fucking thing over and over and over again. Okay. Now that everybody can hate me.
I don't think anyone hates you. It's funny, the thing you were saying earlier reminded me of this line from Peep Show where it's like, why do the people who talk always win? You know?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm just looking at the thingies, aka comments. Okay, what was the point of all that? I don't really. Why are we even?
Well, the point
Okay,
of that,
say,
I can tell you why
yeah.
it started. The way it started was you won Kapla. the way it started was you wanted to talk about um, people who've never had to deal with emotional labor suddenly having to deal with it and feeling put out, um, and
Yeah.
feeling a certain way. And let's go back to that if you want.
Yeah. Well, let me just say a couple quick things. Um, Costa Ricans' response to the pandemic was by no means perfect or any better than anyone else's. So I don't mean to present that if I am. But I will tell you, when the United States, when everyone was freaking out about toilet paper and like, oh my God, what's going to happen? We're not going to have anything to wipe our asses with. And that it's like we considered that to be like the bedrock of like normal function of civilization or something. Um, Down here at about the same exact time, all of the stores sold out of seeds,
Right.
like seeds of tomato seeds, cucumber seeds, corn seed, corn kernels. Um, and it seemed like a much more rational response in a way, but you realize how much closer um, you are down here, at least in the normal population, non beach party land, um, to like normal human like modes of food production. Like I had, my friend Rich lives on like the, I don't know, 27th floor of an apartment building in New York. And for a while during the beginning of the pandemic, they couldn't go outside because they couldn't, like they'd block the elevators and told people not to use the same air as in the stairways if they could help it. And we didn't know Jack, right?
Right.
But like, yeah. And I told Ellie Bett, who has like a third grade education, one time about the toilet paper in the US, and she thought it was the funniest thing she had ever heard. She doubled over the sink. She was washing dishes, laughing about people, freaking out about toilet paper. She was like, she pointed at the trees outside in like the jungle cloud forest. Look, Andrea, the trees are covered with toilet paper. You can wipe your ass with any of those. But you can't eat them. It's funny. She also didn't get the vaccine, by the way. And I bugged her about it like a whole bunch of times. And she eventually stopped and looked at me in the face and said, Andrea, I am an Indian. I'm not going to get their shot.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it was funny.
Another friend of mine called me in tears because basically she would go on Facebook and she would talk about how unfair it was that this thing was mandatory, and I was saying that I was saying nobody's holding you down and forcing you to get this, right? And she was talking about
It wasn't
how
mandatory, was it?
no, it wasn't mandatory, but there were times when, for instance, later, I guess in 2021, when if you wanted to go to a concert or something, they would ask that you were vaccinated,
Oh yeah.
and they wouldn't allow you in if you weren't. And I think after a whole year of not really being able to be around people and congregate and stuff, that it obviously it took a real toll on some people, and she felt very very hurt and put upon, and I was like, and it was funny because it struck me, at the time I felt like it was, and I said to her on Facebook, it seemed like I was like, that seems like a privileged position in the sense that we actually have 3 different vaccines to choose from that we have access to for free here. And as far as I can tell, at the same time, there were people dying on the streets in India, who would have loved to have had access to a vaccine. And again, that doesn't mean you have to have it or have to take it. And I guess it is true. Like, mandatory means something specific to us, and in to me anyway, and to her, not being able to do something made it seem mandatory and really upset her. But she was also I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't call freedom complete access to all private, events. I
Yeah,
think
well,
that,
that's we've talked
yeah.
about this before, right? Like the freedom of speech is not freedom from consequences, right? Like,
No, what I mean is, uh, I think you know, you can go out and do anything.
yeah,
Um, not this one. I don't know. I don't know. It gets into murky territory, important, so civil liberties territory, but kind of murky territory. Um, it's very, very recent that we call freedom being allowed at all, publicly open um, events or stores. We didn't call freedom that in
no, I
1950.
hold on, I disagree. Free speech is not freedom to speak without consequences. You can say anything you want. But if you, for instance, I don't know, tell people to murder somebody, there may be consequences for that. Like I don't agree that it's that's my point. You can say we've
Uh
said this,
oh.
I've said this to our daughter. You can say anything you want, you can do anything you want, but there are consequences. People, it depends on who you're around. If you're surrounded by like-minded people, you won't notice the consequences. If you're surrounded by people who disagree with you, you may notice the consequences.
Uh, I think this is a semantic argument. We're arguing over true
Well,
free speech. I think we're assuming that LDG is saying we should have the freedom to say anything without consequences.
well, they maybe.
And that's inherently, it's a question of governance. You know, um, I listened to this podcast that's a whole bunch of people in London, and they're constantly having to say things like, you know, um, like, oh no, we're not tearing down, whoever they're talking about, Elon Musk. He's a wonderful guy because their libel laws are so radically different than ours. Um,
What's going on over there?
we're having a lot of excitement around
A lot of
people
dog
walking past
feelings.
the house this morning. It's very, very exciting. I now have 5% on my phone, which is, if I get booted, I'll just come back on my laptop. I think you'll still be here, but I don't know. Just FYI. I had something else to say. Oh yeah, it was about Rousseau. It was about like Locke and that whole thing. Like, are people inherently good or bad, or what's the natural state of humans and all that crap? But I'm having trouble getting it up for that right now. I can't hear you. Are you muted? I think you muted yourself or something.
I was coughing.
Ah, right. It's funny when somebody on the last show, also the first show, I forgot to number this show, which would be number one, by the way, because the last one was 0. Um, anyway, uh, I did not take that to mean anything about germ control. When
Wait,
someone
what?
said to cough and when someone said to cough into your elbow or whatever.
Oh, I assumed it was just to keep it from spreading all over the room.
I just what? I just assumed they were screwing around. I didn't even think about it.
I mean,
It
well,
makes sense.
it's good advice. It's what you're encouraged to do if you're like at the symphony or something, because it quiets it, and it also, it just keeps it from just going willy nilly.
Yeah. I mean, my mom is a nurse practitioner.
Can you tell them that story about your mom at the prison and the lice?
My mom at the prison with the lice. That's what you just said.
That's exactly what I mean. You know the story I'm talking about, right?
I do know the story you're talking about. I feel like it's a story that my mom must recount herself.
Oh man. Okay.
And the thing I'd rather say is
I mean, it's a very funny story.
It is a hilarious story. I think we spend so much time, especially in the United States, talking about, thinking about, and even defining ourselves by shit that is like fucking doesn't matter at all. Like really, I don't think this is one of them. I'm not saying that what we were talking about doesn't matter. I just think we get ourselves so wound up about purely conceptual things.
Mm.
And I find it perplexing. Like, what pisses me off is we haven't I wish we could take all of that energy and all of the money and all of the thoughts and all that and fucking fix bridges. Fix goddamn bridges. Are you muted? Or are you just not saying anything?
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm just listening. That's okay. I can listen.
No, you can't. Do you see the banner I put up? This is an example of a banner. Click on a banner to show it on screen.
How did you do that? Oh, I see. It's all the way over here. Okay. Yeah, so this is like your classic. Here's your classic one from last time.
Somebody starts talking too much, to expounds at length. I mean, I wasn't doing it that way on purpose, but I think from now on, that's what farts means. It's like, yeah, we get it.
Right.
This is a good one too. Use banners to summarize your talking points and display calls to action. Right. Handle the abnormality. Exactly. It makes me think of like my current take on ChatGPT, which is like, thank God we now have, something that can show us just how boring, shitty, soul-sucking, and horrible all of our, writing has been. Like, we've spent decades and decades molding people into writers of complete and utter pablum, and like adequate copy, and thank God we now have GPT to write adequate copy for us for everything. They may all be sort of out of a job, but Jesus, at least, it's like the moment that Google had in Gmail, like the suggestive AI for like what you might want to write next. You're like, I hope you, and it says like, have a great weekend. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was the moment I absolutely and totally stopped writing anything like it suggested.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't know if I missed something. Are you talking about in Gmail where it adds the
Gmail?
Yeah. I fucking hate that. I will purposefully not use any of that.
Exactly. And that's what ChatGPT can be now. You'd be like, okay, ChatGPT, write my research paper on, the Scarlet Letter and like the use of, feminist blah, 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 right? And it will totally spit out an adequate paper about feminism in the Scarlet Letter. And then we can move on to something the fuck else. That's how I feel right now. Anyway, like, awesome. No one's ever going to have to write like a description of a cruise to Maui anymore. The lovely palm trees will wave over your head as you're, you know.
I'm gonna send you something.
Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah, and it's funny. I want to send here. I'm sending you something. I want you to look at. I'm sending it on WhatsApp, and because I want you to do that thing where this comes up in the middle. I want us to talk about it for a second.
Can't you do that?
I don't know how to do it. I mean, I could figure it out, but like we're in the middle of a thing. I don't want to fuck it up.
Oh, fuck it up.
Let's see.
I'll tell you. Hi, Mr. Lundell. I'm not kidding, really. I'm not, I'm not saying anything about the, coming destruction of the universe either. I'm just saying, thank God we don't have to keep writing that bad stuff anymore. I also don't think AI is gonna. I think everybody's just freaking out the way they freak out about everything. So I guess I am kind of letting you down, Mr. Londell. I don't think it's the first time though.
Oh, I see how this works.
You got it?
Yeah.
47 Yorktown. Hi everybody. I really haven't said hi to anybody like by name yet. Cat and Fandom Nerd. Hello. Do I know you, the lovely Sherry? It's so good to see a chick. I mean, I'm making a lot of assumptions there, but could be Cherie. Get it? It was a joke about. Anyway. Jeff Brady Specs. Yes, the universe will go on long. I'm actually not saying it that way. Like, yes, of course, the universe will go on long after we're gone. I am actually saying even humanity will go on. And this AI thing. I don't really know what everybody's so scared of. We're already fucking weird. I'm going to stop. You go. What are you trying to put up there or something?
Here, do it. Just do it. Do it for me because I can't figure this out right now. I keep fucking everything up. I look at what I sent you. Are you still there? Did your phone die? I think your phone actually died. So Andrea was doing the whole thing from her phone, which had less than 10% a few moments ago. Oh, all right, hell. Maybe I'll try this. I am going to pause this for a moment, and I will be back.
Wait, have you really? That was funny. Hello.
What was funny?
That you had the banner up, the thing up that says Andrea will be back shortly. Inefficient and counterproductive should not be up right now because it is something my brother and I.
Well, it was one of the options I had.
Yeah.
For it.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh
my God, I'm sorry. So you want me to put up the thing?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I can't even. I don't even know.
I sent it to you in WhatsApp.
I know, but my WhatsApp desktop client isn't working, and I switched over to my laptop. Can't be bothered to actually look at what it was. I need to copy and paste.
Well, I could also just put it into the chat. Hang on.
I'm not sure it'll let you actually. Can you send it to me on iMessage?
Yes. Hang on.
Now we're going to get all of the crap from people about what? Allow messages to share that you have notification silenced using Focus. I don't use Focus. Screw you. I don't need my computer to tell me what to do. Did you send it to me?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Old Bay.
I don't like it when my car freaks out about not having my seatbelt on either. I do not want you to tell me what to do. Machine.
Classic.
I know. It's just gets right back to what Mr. Lundell was, I guess, suggesting, maybe. Okay. And now I will share this on the StreamYard. Here we go. I don't know why I got that weird. Share screen with the new tab. Share screen. Here it is. Is that, can you see that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, all you did was share the screen. Is that it? Or did you have to choose a different layout too?
No, the layout, I think it defaults to this. You can also do this, or you can do this, or you can do this.
Sweet.
That's good because I'm not even on there. So let's use that one.
Okay. Well, I wanted to show that because it's, I had thought about this a few weeks ago. That, and you and I talked about it, the idea that if an AI is trained, it's trained up to a point, right? And for ChatGPT, I think the point was December of 2021.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so we started talking about the idea that if everybody starts using something like this to do everything, at a certain point, art will not progress and it will start just like eating itself. Do you know what I mean? Because the number of things, and this is exactly what apparently people are worried about. This came out yesterday. Model collapse, which I thought was interesting and weird and a real problem. You know, last time we talked about a bunch of unintended consequences. I mean, I think this is one of those things.
I think we'll all be talking about this when like the meteorite strikes, you know, like I think we are very self-involved, but I think it makes me think of Bayesian probability calculate equations, and probably John DeMarco could just, you know, talk about this better than I, since he's a math teacher, right? But there are a couple different kinds of ways you can predict. You can calculate the probability of something happening, right? And nobody is listening to what I'm saying anymore because we're just looking at that. Only OpenAI generated dated, others like AI. Yeah, I mean, it's an artificial thing to be dated, right? It's not going to be the problem with all of AI. But anyway, you can calculate the probability of something happening really well if you have a lot of data about when it's happened again, and you're pretty sure that those are the circumstances under which it happens, right? But people use Bayesian probability calculations all the time to predict, for example, the likelihood of a famine 100 years from now, things like that, and or anything. And it turns out that when you do that, what you do is you plug in in the places where you might have other data, you plug in the best guess of experts about how likely something is, and then you calculate all that. And the upshot of it is the future is way less knowable than we think it is. It's just so much less likely that the AI will, destroy us than that something we haven't thought of will. If that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't read this article as it destroying us. No.
Yeah. This is actually looks like AI is not as. Oh, I assumed after reading just the headline that actually it's saying AI is going to be a lot dumber than we think, and that's part of the point. Is like,
well, it's like incest. It's like information incest.
The thing that AI can't do is conceive of something that hasn't been conceived of yet.
Right. I mean, this is interesting. That's one of the reasons why I think we said this last time. I said this last time that the idea like without prompts, I'm nothing, right? And if even like if you think about a cave painting, right? That AI couldn't do a cave painting.
Right.
It wouldn't think about it.
Why?
Because nobody's saying make a cave painting.
Yeah.
I mean, there will come a point where I guess we'll have artificial general intelligence, and it will maybe think, oh, it might be nice to do this thing. I don't know if you've ever done this. Like I've, sometimes when I'm writing music, I'll try purposefully to write something I've never thought about or heard before, and choose, and just start throwing things out just to have something happen, and use that. And I understand that's on a certain level how AI does it randomly. Like it starts with some random stuff and ends up, revealing something. But the idea that it is choosing something to think about isn't happening yet. And it'll be a weird day when that happens. And I would imagine that whatever it comes up with at that point may be extrapolating something that will just seem crazy to us, in the same way that when Deep Blue, what was the AI that beat the Go Master, right? Yeah. Where it beat the Go Master by they had to go back like, I don't know, something like 14 moves to see this thing that the AI had done, where they were like, this doesn't make any sense in the moment, and then they realized it was a completely different technique, and it was a very winning one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the difference between artificial intelligence and artificial general intelligence, at least as they talk about it. AGI is not generative because they're already generative. It's general, like the way we can extrapolate radically different ideas from one subject to another, right?
Right. So there were a couple of things that we talked about doing that we didn't actually do a few days ago.
Yeah, with the radio drama.
Yeah, like the AI generated radio drama.
Yeah.
And they were awful.
Yeah, the ones that we generated were terrible.
And I mean, maybe it's a prompt problem. I don't know. I don't think so.
One thing that it is so hip. It is so like you're supposed to be really pessimistic and constantly foreseeing the end of the fucking universe right now.
Because of AI.
No, I think it's just it's some late 20th century thing. It's like a post, nuclear, I don't know, style, faddish style. Like, if you say something like, human caused climate change is really happening, and we will probably find ways to avert, the biggest disasters. They'll like throw you out of your school, like you're not allowed to say that at every other point in modern human history, humans have figured out how to solve problems. And nothing is different here. I mean, it's there will be terrible, calamities caused by human caused climate change.
I'm sensing a but.
But everybody that you hear says something like, and then, the sea's going to rise and we're all going to be dead, as if things proceeded that way in the world. They do not proceed that way. Like, there is an event and we freak out and figure out how to, I don't know, pump, sequester carbon dioxide under the ice caps or something, right? And we, and then something else happens and we respond to that. And yeah, we respond way too late all the time, but there is no sort of, and then the world ended. I mean, until there is, and then it doesn't matter what I said. But it's like, it's so ingrained and like normal to say, and then, AI started generating, got a personality and the world ended. Like that is not only like not true. That's not how things play out. It's like weak and like, I don't know, soft. Like, no, there are inflection points constantly in every crisis where you can change, the outcome of things. You can fix or make worse. You can, completely change the direction of your philosophy. You can rein in the AI. You can, set off your own electromagnetic pulse, destroy everything because of the AI. I mean, like, things don't happen in this sort of like, and then the AI got control of Google and we all fried or something. Like, we all ended up with this, copper tops and,
I mean, they always use the example. It's like you tell the AI to end spam, right? And so it realizes, well, spam. What is spam? Spam is mail that's sent by people to other people to get them to do things or buy things or manipulate them in some way. So if we eliminate people, there will be no more spam, right? Like that's the idea, right? Again, an unintended consequence kind of thing. It's funny. I'm reminded of the opening.
It would have to be an AI that had among its options eliminating people.
Sure. I mean, you'd hope it wouldn't have that, right? At least like the 5 laws or something. I don't know, but
well, you could tell it to eliminate cars. Would it be able to do that?
Who knows?
This is an AI that can really manipulate every. It's a little like worrying about the empire before.
I'm not making this. This is my idea. I'm just presenting this idea, right? But it's funny. At the same time, I think what you were saying earlier, I'm reminded of. I'm going to paraphrase this badly, but in Neil Stephenson's Cryptonomicon, basically talking about how this person who's alive today is because all the people before him were stupendous badasses by virtue of being able to survive. and live and procreate, you know. And I think you have a point. It's like we, at least in our historical epoch, have not faced something that has ended us yet.
Yeah. And all the other ones said that too.
Sure. Well, no, of course, right? You know, there is that.
But like it's, I don't know.
See, this is what I was. This is great right here. This is nice. I like this.
What?
LDG said, "Thanks for the stream, you two. Something nice to listen to while I'm working," which is exactly what we talked about the other day. Well, I was hoping that people would feel that way, which is nice.
Because it's like having a couple of mildly annoying, nerdy coworkers,
cranky friends talking
in a couple cubes over.
Yeah,
we're rumble. We're room tone.
Other things we were going to talk about was we were going to talk about the Transformers and the Fast and the Furious and Severance.
You were going to talk about those first two. I haven't seen either of them.
Well, I mean,
I do know this about the Transformers. They're more than meets the eye.
That's what I've heard. You know, that guy's really quite old. I had no idea. I mean, I guess he's been doing it since the 80s.
What's that guy? Yeah, and he's like a famous actor.
I don't know. Is he?
We're talking about
the Optimus Prime guy.
Who's the bad guy? Decepticon. I think he's like a famous. There's some voice actor in the Transformers who's like. Somebody will figure it out. Who's some really?
It's Dudley Moore.
It's not. It's not Dudley Moore.
Here, I was going to show you something. Will people hear audio as well?
If you share the screen and you click the little thing.
Okay, hang on. What the hell?
Oh, LDG wants trans movies. It starts there, and then, oh my God, there's chaos in the bathroom. Chaos. Get it? I'm making a joke.
Is there chaos?
About Transformers and trans.
Oh.
Confusing those things, yeah. That's one of the things that I think we should all just think about something else. Bridges.
All right, let me try this. Yeah, I'm going in.
On the other hand, I think some things are like unstoppable.
Yeah.
It's funny because like genetic shenanigans. They're pretty unstoppable. You have to share your screen.
I'm about to.
Okay, I'll stop mine.
All right. Can you see that?
Yeah, but did you click the little checkbox? Which is
I did.
Okay. It's in like the least intuitive place ever.
So, well, it tells you. It tells you. So, this is my. Oh, hold on. This is my take on the. Is this the Transformers movie? I think. Let's see.
So I thought it would be fun to see the new Transformers movie today because I like to see stuff like that once in a while. And after having seen several of them, I kind of feel like they're all basically like Optimus Prime's name should really be I'm going to underestimate my opponent and lose a valuable ally. Inexplicably come back stronger and vanquish the foe. You know what I mean? Like that is exactly what happens on all of them. But maybe I'm being too hard on the franchise. Who can say?
So first of all, is that true? Because I think I've seen 2, and aren't there like 8? All right, I'm going to show you one more. This is my take on the Fast and the Furious 10, which I don't think I've seen any of them before this.
So I just saw the Fast and Furious 10 movie, and I feel like it was basically this. Important. My sister has all the records on this guy. Sup, y'all? So I just
so that's that. Now, have people seen this? Do they have any idea about this? Let me stop sharing.
Okay, Peter Cullen, who is Optimus Prime, was also Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh.
That explains a lot.
And he was a fucking car in Knight Rider.
The one who's like, Michael,
Yeah. Michael. please get
Michael,
in
what
the
are you
car.
doing?
Yeah.
The Space Shuttle Columbia, Michael.
Also Canadian. You know, it's the secret Canadians.
So, does anybody? I mean, did I accurately portray all of the Fast and Furious and the Transformers movies? Does anyone? It'd be funny if your friends wouldn't go to them and were like, nobody knows.
No, I have no idea.
I don't
But
either.
I know that one of our friends who used to hang out here was really into the models, making them.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, honestly, I know so much more about Star Trek now than I did even when I was hanging around with these people more often. But I still would probably just kind of think about something else when that stuff comes up, I guess. Unless we're talking about like the philosophy or the like underlying, you know, interesting questions about something, I tend to zone out.
Oh, how are you on the internet right now? Are you tethered to your phone?
Yeah, that was one of the reasons why it took me so long to come back, is because I realized, well, shit, if I'm going to go onto my laptop, I still have to have my phone working. Because
What do you mean, these people?
What these people?
I don't know if it's intentionally. I think it's a quote from Tropic Thunder.
I'm staring and thinking about something else. I'm trying to figure out.
Is Demon Seed the movie with the woman whose sister Dear Prudence was written about?
Oh, here it is. Okay, in the first Transformers movie.
Yeah.
Transformers the movie, which came out in when?
That's Julie Christie.
2001? No. Hold on.
No, I think it was 2004.
It was Transformers the movie was in the 80s. Okay, so this is like the very first one. You know who played Unicron?
No.
Orson Welles.
In the one in the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Orson Welles?
Oh, the French.
Hot Rod was voiced by Judd Nelson.
Really?
Yeah. Galvatron was Leonard Nimoy. Let's see. It just like the first Transformers movie has the most astounding voice casts of you've ever seen.
You know what that reminds me of? Are you familiar with Jodorowsky's Dune?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Transformers version of that, where he got all these amazing people.
Yeah. Well, Orson Welles doing Unicron was his last thing before he died.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Are you in that hanging chair? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, it's the door.
It sounds like you're on a ship somewhere, which goes with your background in the picture.
The guy who played Elliot Ness in The Untouchables voiced Ultra Magnus.
Does that mean anything to you?
No.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that I told my parents once that I went to see The Untouchables when I went to a party. That's my experience with The Untouchables.
That's a great movie, Colossus: The Forbidden Project.
What? Judd Nelson was, he was Hot Rod, an Autobot.
So I do have to say, in the new one, who's the pasty guy who's very tall and was dating?
You're
Kim
not talking to
Kardashian?
me, right?
I am talking to you. Well, I mean, I'm talking to myself, but like,
The pasty guy in some Transformers movie?
well, he was dating Kim Kardashian. He's a comedian. He's on Saturday Night Live. Pete
Oh.
Davidson. So apparently, he was Joe's coming in. You can see the door. So apparently he was. Hi, Joe. I'm good. How are you? Andrea and I are talking to a bunch of people. So apparently Pete Davidson was, supposed to have a small role, and he was so funny and good improvising as Mirage that they rewrote the whole script for him, and talked about how they did it at great expense.
None of that means anything to me.
Okay. Yeah, it is funny. Do you remember? So here's a fun fact about Andrea. She used to know all the lyrics to every song she'd ever heard once, but could never remember any actor or actress's name.
I'm getting better.
I'm sure.
My old age, my middle age. In that first Transformers movie, still there.
Jesus. Here, put it up. Put up what you're reading.
John Machida Jr. Plays Autobot Blur, who's this like fast talking thing. He's also on Dick Tracy, and he's been on like Adventure Time. He once held the Guinness World Record for the world's fastest talker at 586 words a minute.
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun. Okay, I'm really sad now because I saw a headline that I was excited about, and then it was published in August of 2021 that Labyrinth was going to return to theaters for the 35th anniversary.
Oh, so you missed it.
Yep. In so many ways.
Here,
Yvette, hi. I'm just looking at the comments for the first time in a long time. Hello, everyone. It's great to see you, Yvette. Speaking of chicks. LEG, I believe even Weird Al did a song for the Trends the movie. Yeah.
It's just something to think about.
Mountains of Elysium. I'm calling you Mo. Because, M-O-E. What are we thinking about?
I just wanted to show this.
Colossus, the Forbin Project. What's Forbin?
It's Forbin's project, Colossus. I think it's like Dead Hand.
What?
Do you know what Dead Hand is?
No, but I know something kind of interesting about Colossus.
Okay. The Colossus of
No,
Rhodes.
you go with the Dead Hand first.
The Dead Hand thing was this basically this Russian massive retaliation thing where if there were a nuclear war and all the people in control were killed, the computer would survive to launch a counterstrike, assuring destruction. I thought this is another article I thought was interesting. By the way, this hackers can steal cryptographic keys by video recording power LEDs 60 feet away.
Oh, yeah.
Might be a little too inside baseball. I don't know.
No, it's just like how they can, can't you get
Did we talk about this?
pretty good sound waves off of Windows?
You can, but also they proved that you can. You don't even have to have a high definition video of something in a room, like I talk about this, like a leaf or potato chip bag, and get the vibrations off of it, which is crazy because everything is vibrating. We just don't think about it that way.
Right.
Colossus
we just didn't have instruments that were fine enough.
Here we go. Here.
Yeah, I was talking about the Colossus of Rhodes when I said I need anything interesting.
What are you drinking?
Coca-Cola, baby.
All right. I'll be back.
Why? Oh my God.
I'm running to the bathroom. I'll be back.
What I was going to say is that apparently, I just was hearing about this recently. The Colossus was so after. Okay, I am not going to get my my Greek history right, but apparently, after the overthrow of some ruler by some other ruler, they changed his face to look like the new ruler, and they did this several times on the statue, the Colossus, until I think it fell over in an earthquake. Is that right? At some point, and from then on, they just sort of said, well, the Colossus was actually this theater over here, the Colosseum. And because they had to have something, because like the Colossus was referred to in so many, like, I don't know, anthems and stuff, that they kind of said, okay, well, it's this Colosseum over here. I could be totally wrong, but this is what I just heard recently. And that it was kind of an early example of like political retconning, to keep the public from being freaked out that the Colossus wasn't there or something. How's that for some purported facts? Let's see. I'm trying to find anything that would back this up. Of course, the Colosseum, when I refer to the Colosseum, is not in Rhodes, so that doesn't work.
All right,
But
I missed.
Did you hear any of that?
No. Were you talking to me? Because I left.
I was just talking.
Okay.
Okay, so apparently, upon the overthrow of several successive rulers, they had the Colossus's face was changed. Yeah, to reflect, the current ruler. And then when it fell down from an earthquake, I think, this is what I heard. Okay, I don't know if it's true. They said, oh, the Colossus wasn't that. The Colossus was this thing over here, this Colosseum, and it, they tend to. I've heard people say that it's the first example of like political retconning. Like, oh, that was never the Colossus. It was this thing over here. But I'm trying to find anything to back this up at all.
While you're looking for that, I'll post another thing that I thought was really exciting, actually. Here. Here, look at this. Are we hearing your wind chimes?
Yes. Oh, okay. This makes way more sense. Apparently, there was a giant bronze statue of Nero near the Colosseum. So it wasn't the Colossus of Rhodes that I just said all that about. It was the Colossus of Nero.
Interesting.
A 30-meter, 98-foot bronze statue that Nero had in the vestibule of the Domus Aurea. And the Colosseum was known by its proximity to that Colossus. Statue disappeared after late 4th century, likely toppled by an earthquake or destroyed during the sack of Rome. According to one theory, the name of the rope and amethyst was derived from blah, 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 blah. Not interesting, boring. Oh, here's a whole piece of it that I forgot. Yes. If you've ever heard a sort of piece of poetry or like verse from Bede, from it's like pre 1000, it's like 6 or 700 AD. As long as the Colosseum stands, Rome will stand. When the Colosseum falls, Rome will fall. When Rome falls, so falls the world. It actually is, as long as the Colossus stands, Rome will stand. When the Colossus falls, Rome will fall. And when Rome falls, so falls the world. And it was after the Colossus of Nero fell that they changed Bede's words to meaning, translated from the Latin, to mean Colosseum, because it hadn't fallen yet.
That's funny. Sorry. So I'm sorry. So Bede is a person?
Yeah, the Venerable
Bede?
Bede.
I don't know about Bede. Is that Bede? No.
Yeah. English monk. Yeah, he's one of those guys who wrote down a lot of shit that happened hundreds of years before, but we, histories of early popes, stuff that just wasn't written down much because people, yeah. I've always heard him referred to as the Venerable Bede.
I think I have heard of that as well, but I didn't know who that was.
Yeah. 672 to 735. English monk. One of the greatest teachers and writers of the early Middle Ages. Most famous work, Ecclesiastical History of the English People. Right. I guess the reason why I know him is because of sort of like Anglophilic bent of my life.
That's fine.
Northumbria. Well, have we gotten completely boring and unable to sustain a thought?
I mean, maybe not completely. Maybe completely. Who knows?
We went from the Transformers to the Colossus to the Colosseum to Bede.
You want to talk about Severance?
Not really.
Is there something you'd like to talk about? Let's see.
I think it's funny that we call Germans German.
Yeah, go with that. Let's go. Okay, go.
It's like calling British people, Saxons or something, or Anglo-Saxons. Like Germans don't call themselves German; they call themselves what
Dutch.
we used. But see, we use the word Dutch for people from the Netherlands. So I guess maybe the word was taken, so we had to call them German.
Didn't they used to call Reagan Old Dutch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How was he called Dutch? I used to know that.
Because he was German, but it had been taken already. So
I can't think of another. Off the top of my head. I'm sure there is one. Another like nation state and language and people that we call by their like long past racial heritage. Can you?
You're asking me?
Reagan's father said he looked like a fat little Dutchman when he was born.
Jesus. And then he aged, so they called him Old Dutch.
He also had a Dutch boy haircut. Anyway, his parents gave it to him. Going back to the thing, did you hear what I said? Like, can you think of any other? You know what's interesting? Pennsylvania Dutch
Mhm.
is not Dutch, it's German. They're using the word Dutch to mean German, Deutsch.
Yeah, I always thought that was weird as a kid.
Did you know it was German? I had no, I didn't know. I didn't even know what Dutch was.
Well, I mean, as a kid, there would be like, sort of like a light switch, right? That had this sort of like Pennsylvania Dutch sort of colorful filigree all around it, and it would say things like "out in the light," which I know is not Dutch or German. Right? I'm assuming "outen" is not a thing. So as a child, I thought it was just people were just being goofy.
Outen could be totally sounds German to me.
I mean, I don't know. Let's see. Out in the lights.
You know what the Netherlands are called in Spanish?
It's the phrase. The phrase is associated with the Pennsylvania Dutch. Hey, out in the lights and go to bed.
Oh.
Oh shit! And they actually have the light switch I'm talking about. Let's see if I can.
Oh.
Hang on. Oh my god! All right, hold on. So yeah, so think about how I just described this.
Oh my god, you're not going to believe it. The Wi-Fi
Oh.
people are here.
You're kidding?
I am not kidding.
That's great. All right, let me
Can
show
I tell
this
you
and
very
then-
quickly that the Netherlands are called the Low Countries in Spanish, Países Bajos. Oh my god, I suddenly have all kinds of things to say, but I'm going to get Wi-Fi instead.
All right. Well, we'll pick this up again. Anyway, there you go.
Unless
Out
we
in the
wanna-
light, everybody.
Out in the light. Oh, that's cool. The Statue of Liberty is referred to as a new Colossus and has a poem called that engraved in the base. Both the SOL, the Statue of Liberty, not shit out of luck, and the Colossus are word depictions of the sun god Helios. Yeah, see, there's Darren. Hi, Darren. Always here with the interesting information, something actual, real facts. Okay, I have to go.
I'm going to.
I wouldn't be after World War II, many German families started calling themselves Dutch in the USA. It makes so much sense. Why do we do that? Does anyone know? German. It's like, hail, the Normans are coming. Although a bad word that Scots use for Brits are Sassenachs. Sassenach. It means Saxon.
Sounds an X.
Sassenachs because they're not Celtic.
It sounds like one of the editors from that French press movie, The French Dispatch.
I don't know what that. Anyway, I gotta go.
All
Oh
right.
my God, they may never come
Bye.
back if I don't go now.
Bye, everybody.
Good to see everybody. And broadcast.
Do it.